And welcome back, everybody, to the UMG Gaming Studios for our UMG Champions Apex Legends Arena $10,000 Invitational. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Onset and T-Squared, and we're heading into our fourth series of the day. It seems like everything is starting to be a bit smoother than a little bit of a rocky start, but that's just how things go. Obviously, we have a great series of Ghosts and Alpine about to be underway. But first, boys, we need to take a look at our pool standings and kind of discuss. We've seen some upsets, fallouts that everything was going to plan. Everything pretty much where it needs to be. On set, how's it shaping up for you?
I mean, that last series was a banger, wasn't it? To be honest with you, it was a surprise to me as well to see Renegades not only win, but win in the way they did as well. A really commanding victory. But looking across the other pools as well, you're looking at Pool A, Aqualix still on top, looking very, very strong. And then Team Liquid as well, looking pretty good as well. Except, unfortunately, having a little bit of a struggle. But the surprise to me at the moment is if I look down at Pool C, Tom, I'm sure you might have a few surprises here as well. Cloud9 and Alpine, both 0-1.
Yeah, it's difficult to say who's going to win Pool C because this is probably the closest pool that we have. And one of these matches coming up right now, Ghost Gaming against Alpine, is going to be an extremely even matchup, in my opinion. It's going to be tough. I mean, you see the rank right now. Ghost Gaming, you have to probably give the edge because of their map win-loss, 3-2 versus 1-3. But Alpine Esports is an extremely well-rounded team. They're great at fighting, but Ghost Gaming, their skirmishing skills are out of this world. They're led by Six. Six is an amazing IGL. He's great and excels in these team fights. You can listen to the way that he calls out in these team fights. And I actually teamed with him and Bowser last year and had an opportunity to learn from them and how they approach their fights. And they are one of the fastest paced teams in terms of taking their fights. So if they're going to send it, be careful because they are extremely well-rounded and they're very I would say determined to win these fights.
All right, well, it seems as if I already know your prediction. I'm sure we'll get it officially a little bit later. Pandxrz, though, in Pool B, right, sitting there with Pop-Tarts at 0-1, and obviously the literal champs, and seems as if they're struggling today, and that raises the question, how different is Arena as opposed to BR? Obviously, it's it really is the core fundamentals of what Apex truly is, right? It's kind of like you go to Fortnite and you look at box fights, right? Box fights is kind of the core essence of what Fortnite competitive is, and then you look at Apex Arena, and it's like that 3v3 skirmish in your face. Let's fight it out. Who has the best abilities, play man on man. There's no risk of a third party, right? There's not a lot of other outside influencers that are going to dictate and really change the course of what's taking place. So you really do get to see the best come out from each individual. And for Alpine, clearly struggling, but Ghost just as well. But I guess let's start breaking down the series and really talking through it. Tom, obviously you gave a ton of great praise over towards that of Ghost, but Onset, what kind of praise can we give to Alpine? What did they bring to the table?
I mean, they're one of the most fun teams to watch, in my opinion, that we have in the Apex Legends Global Series. They're also one of the most slept on teams, I feel. They're always performing, in that top 6-7 region. They're always in and about. They haven't managed to get that big win, which I think is a big stepping ground for them to make. But when you talk about team fights, you talk about individual skill, and I know that Hill and RKM bring a lot to the team, right? But Euriece is a star. And this man, I say man, he's a boy, he's a kid. He's a young man who has so much mechanical skill and individual ability and a lot of character as a guy as well. He's a very, very fun player to watch. He's a very funny human being who's going to definitely put a smile on your face, not only with his gameplay, but with some of the words that come out of his mouth as well. But he's the star for this team. Hill and RKN, they build their team around supporting him, allowing Euriece to do what he does best. So keep your eyes on that young man. He'll be sure to light up the arenas.
All right, so Euriece, obviously the favorite for you, Tom. You were kind of mentioning Sick as your star player. You standing behind that. Is Sick going to be the playmaker for Ghost?
I just know that the way that Sick operates and the way that he goes through these practices, and they're very open to constructive criticism on this team. And they were formerly Team Intel, had a chance to cast a lot of their games and watch them grow from basically a lower tier team into an S tier team, and that didn't happen overnight. That was something that they worked on continuously developing their play style. And then they really started to shine very close to when we had the ALGS Global Championships for the large prize pool. And that's when they came to full form, and there's no better time to come into full form. So I really do like the way that Six plays, but, Onset the nail on the head. I really like the way that Alpine plays as well. This is going to be difficult to call.
And both of them are 0-1. So this is a big round to take. Granted, you only have one more match after this. You're trying to be top 2 in your pool so you can break into bracket play and start playing for that money, right? $10,000 on the line. We're going to be starting off with Overflow, Thermal Station, Phase Runner, Gardens, Artillery. So same rotation that you guys just witnessed if you had a chance to catch that Renegades G2 series. Onset, we'll start with you. Overflow being map number 1. It was pretty fun to watch Renegades and G2 play, but Renegades got that quick 3-0. So is that just kind of the pacing and kind of the flow, if you will, no pun intended, for Overflow?
It is. It's quite a fast map. It's one of the faster ones you'll see, just because of the fact that everything is so close quarters. There's a lot of mid-range to short-range battles you'll find yourselves in once you meet in the middle of the map. It's quite a linear map, so there's not a lot of room to kind of escape once you are engaged in one of those battles. So for teams, it's kind of get initial damage and try and capitalize on it. It's very rare that you'll be able to get damage and get out of dodge, or do the damage and then be able to, allow a team to reset. So you've got to be quick once you get the damage done, really take advantage, close that ground, and make sure that you get the kills.
And Tom, Thermal Station gave us our first sudden death. It was exciting to watch. It went the distance. And for me, anyways, I was kind of watching G2 play with the longbow. The longbow coming into play instead of the wingman. What's up with that? Did you like that? Because it seemed to be working with G2 pacing out Renegades, but ultimately they ended up losing that map.
Yeah, that Thermal Station, that actually ate my first nap of the day. I'm not going to lie. I was over the UMG couch over here and a little snooze. That map is thumbs down on the Thermal Station.
But it went round 9. It went sudden death. It was incredible.
Because it's the same thing over and over, and there's so much lava on the floor that it reminds me of like when I'm 5 and I can't step on the cracks anywhere because I'll break my mom's back. I mean, they need to make a little bit of changes to that, but I really do think that when we're watching these players, they make it look exciting, right? Because of the amount of skirmishing that they're bringing. But there's a lot of, I would say, disadvantages towards that Thermal Station zone. You can really just constantly fly over towards the donut over and over again, so it makes it a little bit awkward. But when we go into our predictions, if I had to pick right now, I think that I'm going to have to give this one to Ghost Gaming. This is a toss-up, though. I would basically say it's like a 49% chance.
Wow, 51. He's throwing stats out there on set. He's serious about his prediction. Who are you going with, though? You going to go against the grain, or are we going to see like a Fallout Girl kind of combination here where one's going one way, one's going the other? Who are you with?
I'm going with the 49% underdog in Alpine. I'm going that, Tom's right, though. It's a coin flip between these two. I think they're both incredible teams, incredible team fighting teams. And it might be one of those games that's decided by momentum. Get out to a hot start, try and continue that over. Maybe that's what's going to be to decide it.
All right, well, chat, where are you going? You going Alpine, or are you going with Ghost? Chat, where you at? Is it going to be that close? And it's going to be Ghost. So, Onset, I guess you're going to be just like Girl, right? Kind of standing on your own, but she got a victory earlier. Maybe you can get a victory here with Alpine. I wish you the best. I truly do, because normally it's me whenever I'm casting doing predictions for other games who is, kind of the outlier. And hey, most of the time I'm right. So I got the trophy back here for predictions. Okay, bottom line, period. So I'm with the Onset. Alpine might have a chance here, but it seems like the match is getting loaded up. It's ready to go. So, boys, take it away.
Thank you so much. And I will say this, Tom, it's one thing to go bold with predictions. It's one thing to get them right. I'm one of those people, as you well know, who will go a little bit bold sometimes, feel a little bit dangerous, and then all of a sudden it's thrown back in my face extremely quickly. But this is going to be a great game between these two. I mean, we've just seen two pro teams really go head to head. It was two balls running at each other in that last series, and it gave us a really exciting set of games. And I feel like this one's going to be very, very similar.
And it's one thing to also get a trophy for your predictions as well. I thought that was Reflections like 5th grade Pokemon League, trophy that they gave him for participation points, but apparently not. Apparently not. He's over there, winning the big bucks. There was probably a side bet going on in there too in terms of who's the prediction winner. I got one doll hair on Ghost Gaming. I don't know about you, Ansa.
I just wonder if he's bought his own trophy. That would be the ultimate disrespect to yourself. But we're into our first game of this series. It's going to be on Overflow, the newest map added to the pool of Arenas maps. And as you can see here, like I mentioned, Tom, a very, very linear map. And I feel like in these early rounds, if you can maybe pull out a longbow or a 30-30 repeater, something like that, and get initial damage, it can kind of catch your opponents off guard here.
It's that, and it's also going with something unorthodox, like possibly a flatline. I mean, everybody's rocking the wingman, right? The wingman, it's been looking good. All the shots have been amazing, but sometimes if you're not hitting, you are basically doing nothing. You're not laying down any damage at all. So we'll see what these pro players elect to go with. And from Six point of view, he's going to go wingman Mozambique. Six, always one of the big proponents of going for the wingman, and hits his first shot there for 45. Hello, Alpine. Say hello to some cells.
It's one of those things, isn't it? The first shot that gets exchanged is always one of those that's like, oh, damn it, already I'm on the back foot. However, Mozambique shots across map. Let's talk about that. Hill, as he's doing around 12 damage, it would feel in total, and at least he's doing the damage. And the thing is, Tom, as crazy as it sounds, that's going to be 2 cells that are going to have to be used here by Ghost Gaming. So even though it might seem like a few meme shots maybe have been exchanged, they're still going to force some resources to be used.
And there's the flatline. So it's always interesting to see, all right, hey, what's the idea? What's everybody comfortable with? Are we all going to be using wingman? The thing is if all 3 players are using the wingman, I just don't agree with that. I really feel like at least one player should be rocking some sort of automatic weapon. One thing's for sure, I wouldn't want my teammate to be rocking Mozambique as the main weapon. We've actually seen this before. It's an econ play. It's also been a play we've seen with Bangalore's, because your upgraded Mozambique comes with a digital threat, but that's not going to be the case here. Alternator doing a little bit of work, 60 damage from medium range. Now everyone's going to start running a little bit low on resources, so this is when things get interesting.
Yeah, I like the pick of the Alternator, to be honest. I think it's one of the most underrated weapons, especially in an early round tier, that you can pick in arenas. You're going to see the care package coming down as well, and teams are being forced together at the moment. Ghost Gaming on the receiving end of quite a lot of damage, though. You can see that across the shields, all of them broken apart from Pandxrz, and Pandxrz might be joining them very soon as shots are going to be exchanged here. RKM will get the first knock here onto Metro. He'll be taken down. Euriece follows that up, and now it's a 1v3. Make that a 0 versus 3 as Alpine will take home the first round of this map.
Nice little flank ski right there coming around the corner. Nobody was expecting it. Everybody was kind of posturing up, low on cells, low on heals, waiting for their opportunity to go and kind of jiggle peek, but that opportunity wasn't coming. Alpine was just closing in. It was like the walls in Star Wars, or they're just like sitting in and just slowly started to collapse all around them.
Well, this is a replay that we've just seen. This was Ghost Gaming getting eliminated almost one after the other. Pandxrz going down there. And initial damage done by that Alternator, Tom. We talked about how something in the first round or so that's a little bit different can change things up. And I feel like the Alternator did that, just being able to suppress one area of the map here and give them that advantage with that initial damage.
Mozam P20 again coming in from Alpine. He is going big time on the econ. It makes me wonder what his main weapons are going to be. I think he's saving for something big, maybe like an upgraded R9 and something that is going to try to snowball this going into round 2 and 3. He obviously used the jump pad. That's a little bit of his economy. Cells and batteries being passed around for Alpine, but this is the same pace that we saw in the previous round, except now a little bit more utility, more grenades in hand, a little, oh, big 89 damage right there. Metro goes flying into the air, and Six takes a handful of damage too. And that's fairly common. When one player ends up getting weak on your team, the second player ends up having to cover, and the third player ends up covering, and then they have to overextend a little bit, and that's where they shift the focus on. And that's exactly what Alpine is doing to Ghost Gaming.
Well, Ghost Gaming, that was an unintended jump pad provided by that frag grenade, just sending that player flying across the map. And now Alpine have got to be very careful here, as Hill will have those shields broken, and for all of the damage that Ghost Gaming did take, now they're the ones dealing it out. RKN going to be forced to bubble, and unfortunately it looks like no one quite in position to be able to take advantage of it. Euriece getting into position now to back up his teammate. Now the Euriece coming out, and they've managed to isolate Pandxrz. Great reset there from Alpine, and now Six will exchange kills, so it's a 2v2 here, Tom.
This Fury coming in for Euriece. I don't think Euriece is interested in losing this one. Is he going to go down and heal? He has a battery if he wants to go and hit it. He also has 2 down teammates, which are going to be giving him information. But after he hits the battery, he's going to have an advantage. Six flies down. Now they're even on shields. Actually, advantage on over to Six. Euriece still has batteries, though. He's going to grapple out. Should have plenty of time. You can see the player outlines are coming around. Has another grapple if he wants to do it. His shots with the Eve have been on point, and that's why I don't think that Euriece was losing this one. I mean, if you were paying attention, the way that the Euriece carries himself or on the map, just look how he carries his reticle. It's always exactly where the players are going to move. Very minimal effort in terms of how much he has to flick and actually move his mouse. And that's just amazing because you can see Six, he's flying around and his Six's tracking is on point. But look at Euriece. See how he's perfectly just at body and head length every single time, predicting where that player is going to go. Great job by Euriece.
Crunch is the only word that really comes to mind when I feel about that last battle there. Euriece just dominating with the Eva 8. We know how strong that shotgun is, and that was the perfect example of what it can do in those close range battles. Now the jump pad here for Ghost Gaming, a little bit of change up from them, trying to get to center map as quickly as possible. And you can see a few shots going to be put out here by the wingman, but nobody really connecting at the moment for Ghost Gaming. It's more that Alpine are getting that initial damage in every 3v3 we've seen so far.
All right, and if we switch on over to Alpine and they're still rocking the Mozambique, I have huge concerns because I'm wondering at what point do you start spending your credits here? Euriece actually has a down teammate. That's going to be Pandxrz getting the knock with the flat line onto RKN. What's the play right now for Ghost Gaming? They're going to full heal, wait for their opportunity. They have the Gibraltar down, which is huge. That means that the enemy is not going to have a dome. That's going to be an advancement enemy dome coming in from the side of Ghost Gaming, which means they're trying to cross and get on over to Alpine and Euriece. That just goes to show the amount of respect that they have right now as they're trying to take their first round. Euriece with the Eva 8 wingman. We saw what he was doing with the Eva 8 prior to this, and Mozam wingman on the side of Metro. So I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to pull this 2 versus 1 off. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Euriece.
Well, let's see if he can manage to do it. He's got an Arc Star to work with, which might give him a little bit of a chance or a little bit of an advantage. Maybe the care package might provide something good as well. However, look at this. Using the grapple, like you say, Tom, to get in position to turn a 1v2 into a 2v2. And not only that, the best 1v1 character on the game, you have to say, is Gibraltar. But look at this. He didn't actually manage to get his teammate up for long as he was knocked almost immediately. However, Euriece is managing to isolate these fights momentarily. The Eva 8 is coming in for Euriece. He might get one here, gotta hit the reload, and it's not gonna be enough. And finally, Ghost Gaming do manage to shut him down, but already you're seeing what a danger Euriece can be on the map.
I mean, you could see why people enjoy watching him so much. That's why his, stream is doing so well. That's why his Twitter's popping off. His play is ridiculous. He's over there fighting 2 players at once, but just pay attention to how he's taking that fight on. He grapples out of the fight because he knows these are 2 really skilled players, and it's better if he goes and gets his teammate back up, especially if it's Gibraltar and you do have that dome. Unfortunately, he's not able to get 6 up in time. That means that they're not going to be able to have the dome, and he's not able to get RKN up, and that means that 6 is going to push, and they didn't have the dome on that side. But he was able to fight both of those players while taking cover from both of them. And I think that was the best part of that entire round.
Oh, 100%. The positioning that Euriece there to almost isolate 2 1v1s in a 2v1 situation was very, very impressive to see from the young man. But now Alpine, having just lost that round, need to kind of restabilize themselves, recompose themselves a little bit. And Metro here just poking through this window might have had a flank, but looks like Hill has spotted that one out, done enough damage. However, not enough damage, as now Ghost Gaming will move in. That's 2 knocks now. As you can see, RKN and Hill have been taken down. Euriece will follow, and that is a quick wipe coming in from Ghost Gaming. That was about as quick as you could possibly want. Click of the fingers and 3 players fall for Alpine.
Yeah, that's what happens to me when I land Capital City sometimes, to be honest with you. And then we go again. All right, we go again.
Back to the lobby.
Here on set. Hopefully the queue times aren't that long, all right? We're going to get back into this one here very shortly. But it's been one heck of a start. I mean, we were expecting it to be close, and it's living up to the hype right now. And we've seen a lot of different interesting strategies, and we're going to see even more as we move through this map and we go through the rest. I mean, we're going to see multiple sudden deaths between these 2 teams. Looking at it on paper when we were going round by round, I really feel like this is one of the more evenly matched face-offs that we have.
I agree with you. I also love the aggression that both teams are playing with. It's not been very often we've seen an elongated round from any of the rounds that we've seen so far. And Hill here is in all sorts of problems once more. Has to hit that stim to get out of dodge. However, that's going to cost him a few more HP, and Alpine are having to kind of retreat here One player going to be falling down into the line of sight of Metro here. He's going to fall back as well as his teammate 6 is there to try and finish things off. However, Metro has to move in, and Alpine, who were on the back foot, now very much pressing forward on that front foot. As Hill is going to be in a 1v1 situation here. It's not going to be enough, though. He'll be taken down. And Ghost Gaming taking advantage of the situation presented to them extremely quickly once again. That's back-to-back rounds for them, and now they find themselves on match point.
These rounds are going by so fast. It's just straight up Wingman Eva 8, all-out brawl inside the bubbles or whatever. There's a fight. It's just a full send, and that's how these two teams kind of go about it. And then if it comes down to it, they're maneuvering around the downed players, using knockdown shields, using pings, information, whatever they can do to try to clutch out these 1v1, 2v1 situations. Right now, advantage on over to Ghost Gaming. Alpine's going to have to take this round. I'm curious to see, when the ultimates are going to be purchased by these Gibraltars. We're kind of becoming in that time where possible gold bag purchases for Gibraltar, possible defensive bombardments that could really turn the tides of one of these rounds.
The issue for me is I don't see anyone really getting a res off at the moment with the pace that the game is being played at.
I agree. The thing is if you can get that res off, though, a lot of times players are sending it into the bubble and they're shooting that downed player. So if that downed player pops back up with shields, that completely changes the fight. And it's almost a bait. You almost want people to send it into that type. But you're right. I mean, with the Pathfinders that we have, with the amount of talent that we have, just getting down in general already puts you at a huge disadvantage.
A few shots going to be missed there by Hill, which is going to allow opposition player to land a few on him. He's going to be forced to use that battery now. The frag grenade going to go in from Metro, and we'll have to keep our eyes on the numbers to see if they pop up. However, there's a little bit of a flank coming in right now, and excuse me, misspeaking, as it's just a bubble that's being forced, as Ghost Gaming were taking a little bit more damage than they would have initially wanted to there. Alpine doing the same, as Hill is going to have his HP regenning. Euriece going to pop a battery as well, and we're back to a reset now. Pretty much every player, apart from Hill, back up to full HP, and there's a big spray coming in from Hill now. He missed a few shots earlier, Tom, but those ones with the flatline hitting hard.
He's so weak, and he does have the passives coming up, but it's almost time to kind of just hit a syringe and get it over with, because the HP is just becoming so low. Look at those peak shots coming in from Metro, doing about 90 damage overall. No more utility, though. No more grenades coming in from Ghost Gaming. You can see they're running low on that. Oh, bubble send. You can see the positioning right now. Alpine feeling like they have one of the players isolated. That means they're going to full send it over towards the side. It looks like a 2 versus 1, maybe a 3 versus 1 for 6, and he gets taken out and dropped fairly early. Advantage right now on over to Alpine as RKN is going to hit a battery. Euriece gets dropped, though, by Metro, and now Pandxrz is fairly weak as well. It's up to a 2 versus 1, and that's what we're talking about, these collapses. Once the knocks come through, there's just no time for a res, no matter who you are.
So tight, this game at the moment. It really is on a knife edge, and couldn't be explained any better than repeating the scoreline in front of us right now. 3-3 between Ghost Gaming and Alpine Esports, and Alpine, who are staring down the barrel of going down 1 in the series, now tie things up, and there's a tiebreaker on the horizon now for both of these teams. But I've got to give a lot of love there to Hill, managing to stay alive in a situation where it looked like his life wasn't to be lived for too much longer. And then his 2 teammates making the aggressive push to try and isolate that player as well. Good communication coming in there from Alpine Esports. And it's one thing to communicate, but it's another thing to make that decision and act upon it, Tom. And that's what they did so well in that round.
I always like taking a look at the amount of grenades people purchase throughout all of these instances, because it's so often where you get into this situation where, okay, I'm going to get a head glitch, and then the exact opposite head glitch across from you is what somebody's using. And then those grenades are used not just to try to land damage on those players, but a majority of time is to flush them out of the spot, get extra damage, and then you own the real estate in front of you as you toss those grenades. So that's exactly what RKN is thinking right now. He sees players that are kind of postured around. He's going to toss that grenade, force Metro out of the spot, and then lay down some damage with the wingman, and Metro's going to have to back down while that's happening. You don't really know how far they advanced on the opposite side. Alpine, unfortunately for them, they did not take any real estate while that was happening. They didn't know where the rest of the players were. And now they do, though. Big grenade right there on a Pandxrz. I wouldn't be surprised if they send this one.
Bubble goes down, though. Pandxrz manages to get the bat off, which means that they won't have too much of a problem holding things off. The defensive bombardment going to be coming in as well. You were asking where the ultimates were. There is one coming in from Gibraltar. RKN investing in that R301 as well, getting some shots down, going to be forced to pop a battery as well. And now we're getting to that situation where meds start to become a conversation. But I was going to say that, look how many bats RKN still got in the back pocket. He's already popped one, and he's still got 5 to work with.
Oh no, the bubble comes down, and that bubble is going to end up being used against them because they could go inside of that and get the finish and continue to advance if they wanted to. Instead, they're just taking their time getting the flush, so Euriece is no longer able to give information to the Alpine Esports teammates. So now RKN and Alpine having to do this one blindly, basically, with little to no information on where the 3 players from Ghost Gaming are going to come from, in a difficult spot. I mean, this is what we've seen initially. It's initial knock, then it's a heal, and then it's a full send on the opposite side. And I like that play from Pandxrz. He full sends directly into them, does a lot of damage, and creates a 2-versus-1 opportunity here for 6 and for Ghost.
Exactly. This is the send for the Pathfinder. It wasn't so much about the knock. It was about making sure that became a 2v1 scenario for them, and they managed to get that done. Metro and 6 still alive here, and it will be Alpine and Hill who are trying to hold off this push towards the end. The shots will be missed with the Eva 8, and they will manage to close things out here with the round win. So they go up by a round here. And now they have the chance to close things out once more. But, I mean, this really is a seesaw. It's back and forth, whatever you want to call it. It is going to be like this for the entirety of the series. It's what we expected, Tom, and it is delivering upon that promise.
No doubt about it. Unfortunately for Euriece right there, he gets taken out mid-grapple, which is, you know, sometimes you feel like you're hitting a really fast grapple, getting around the corner, and somebody just hits you with some really, really great tracking. I feel like that's what happened for Alpine, but you got to give credit to Ghost Gaming. I mean, Euriece is such a slippery player. Getting that pick, he was probably up to something, trying to make a play, trying to get some information in advance, and they just turned it right back around on him. But an all-important round here for Alpine. If this goes on over to Ghost Gaming, they are going to take map 1 in this best-of-5 series.
So Alpine Esports found themselves in this position before in this first game. And they had to win the round to elongate map number 1, and now they find themselves here once more. Metro with some nice shots with the wingman, though, going to hit Flesh as well, which might give them the opportunity to push. Alpine and Hill trying to do what they can to try and hold the ground inside of the bubble, and unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do so. First knock here does go down to Pandxrz. Metro going to be popping a battery as well to get back up to full health, and a 2v3 situation now to navigate here for Alpine, Tom.
And it's the same scenario. You see one player from Alpine get knocked. Ghost Gaming fakes the aggression, which makes them overextend on the Alpine side. Then they back off and heal. And then they approach to 3 versus 2 in a methodical form. And I love the way that they do this. Everybody taking angles while that's happening. The advancement coming from the other players. Euriece is fairly weak. RKN can't really do anything. And that's it. Ghost Gaming taking map number 1.
Great job then from Ghost Gaming right at the end of things, just to clutch up in that moment and make sure they took advantage of that initial knock that they did manage to get. And that was kind of the story of things, Tom, to be honest with you. It was whoever got that first knock seemed to win the rounds, and it is kind of the trademark of arenas, right? Any elimination game type, but both teams doing a good job of taking advantage of it. But towards the end there, I just felt like the coordination was a little bit more on point from Ghost Gaming just in those final rounds. When they had the advantage, they really did press it home, and they managed to take home those back-to-back rounds.
Yeah, and I think the downfall right there for Alpine was the fact that in that final round, they all filtered like fish in a barrel over towards that side platform and made it easy. I mean, grenades came out, and we were just talking about grenades not only being used for damage, but to flush players out. They flush out the enemy Gibby, who didn't have his bubble, and then he ends up going down immediately. And that's so unfortunate for RKN. The rest of the players can't do anything. And you just see 6 going through with the thought process, I'm going to take an angle over towards the side. I'm going to let my teammates come through. Anytime that we saw a 2 versus 1 or a 3 versus 2, whatever it was on set from either team, they took their time and they executed it the correct way.
Well, these are some of the replays, as you can see in front of you from our first map of the series, and it will be the story. This was the nade. This is the most enjoyable, but it got sent all the way across overflow back to his respawn point, essentially, right at as that grenade fell at his feet. Nice little melee in the back there. And this was the Euriece versus 6 moment where Euriece managed to lock that Eva 8 on there, Tom, and do the damage that was needed. But it just felt like as well, whenever Euriece went down first, I think on Alpine, they really did seem to struggle to turn things around. But when Euriece was alive, it just always felt like there might be a chance. When your star player's still there, there's always an opportunity for him to do something nutty.
Of course, it's because it's Pathfinder too. So that just creates, Pathfinder is known for these plays, and you want your Pathfinder to come through last and be in these one-on-one situations because he can hit a grapple, he can heal, do a lot of different things. And really, it's either that or you want your Gibraltar, right? If you're playing Octane, you have the smaller hitbox. You know, if you're playing Gibraltar, you have the shield. If you're playing Pathfinder, you have the grapple to get out of jail free cards. So that's why you're seeing these legends being utilized for those exact reasons, right? So I agree, but one of the things is you can't really put it on Euriece and say, you know, without Euriece, there's no way they win.
Oh,
really,
yeah.
it was just anyone that got down first, no matter what player or what team, on set, they were done. I mean, and that just is textbook Apex. That's what's supposed to happen when you get a numbers advantage.
Well, here are some more numbers for you right now. Overflow 5-3 in the favor of Ghost Gaming. And now we're going to be moving over to Thermal Station. Tom, no more naps. Wakey, my friend. It's shoppy time, or whatever you called it a little bit earlier, as we get into our first buy phase of this map. And this, for me, is all about controlling that dome or the platform, either side of the central structure. We see a lot of the fights breaking out around there, Tom. And it seems like when those fights do go down anywhere else, it ends pretty quickly. So that dome is kind of very important. It's almost a race to either side for me, and jump pads I feel like are a really important part of this particular map and how it's played.
It's like Gardens, but without the different levels that you have, right? I mean, Gardens, I feel like, has a couple different layers of strategy. Again, it's a full send over towards one specific spot, which gives you the high ground. Here at Thermal Station, it's very similar. It's that fight for the donut building, constantly people going on over there. But we're going to see, I think, very similar situations where you don't want to be the first player to get knocked. You don't want to be the first team to have a player down. You want to make sure that you're all working together. A lot of different bubble fights, a lot of crazy Euriece grapple plays, and it's going to be a very close match, just like we had in map number 1.
I completely agree with you. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be round for round, punch for punch, whatever kind of analogy you want to throw down. That's exactly how this is going to go. But one thing we should highlight as well is with the way that both those teams have played things, it's kind of like, as I said, I used the analogy at the start of this, is two massive teams just headbutting each other, right? And you can kind of see at the same time why they might both be 0-1, because it seems like strategy wise there isn't anything too in depth from them at the moment. It seems like a fairly standard kind of setup that we're seeing from both of them. However, they both, you know, if they go up against someone who has a little bit more strategy, maybe plays a little bit of variance on the guns, catches them off guard a little bit, then it wouldn't surprise me to see them lose a series. However, you would expect that series to be lost maybe by 1 or 2 rounds or 1 or 2 maps. It really is that tight for these teams.
Well, keep in mind that also these players may not specialize in arenas. They specialize in slaying out, right? So there's strategies that are going to be learned along the way and that they're going to start being applied as this tournament goes on. It's all about getting top 2. And if you can get in that top 2, you can evaluate what happened today. You can go back and watch the rebroadcast and apply some of these strategies going into tomorrow. And that's when we really start to see what these pro players are made of, because they're creatures of habit. They love practicing. They love making adjustments, and once they're able to do that, they're so good at that, and that's what I'm really excited to see. So I wouldn't be surprised to, you know, watch them continue to improve game by game, round by round.
Oh, 100%. The constantly evolving meta game that is, you know, professional gameplay is fantastic, especially with something, you know, so new and so you know, young in its infancy as arenas. There's going to be, like you mentioned, players coming in here who maybe haven't played a huge amount of arenas, but we know are incredibly individually and mechanically talented, finding their ground, and maybe by tomorrow doing something completely and utterly nutty. So that's what I'm excited of. Let's pick a player out who you think is going to improve most from day 1 to day 2. I'm putting you on the spot, Tom, because it's what I love to do. I love to make you feel a little bit nervous, feel that sweat go down the side of your brow. But who do you think is the best player who will step up, who maybe hasn't played a huge amount of arenas and will come out tomorrow and be like, I'm the king of arenas?
I really think that G2 has what it takes, because of the fact that we know what they're capable of doing, and they're a team that kind of gets angry, and it's like they're due for one. When they play bad, I don't really feel like they follow that up with another bad performance. Typically, they follow it up with a good performance, and that just is a kind of testament to how they play with a chip on their shoulder constantly. And I think that watching their series against Renegades is a very underrated team still to this day. I don't think we've even seen Renegades go to full force, and they're a force to be reckoned with. But we know what G2 is capable of, and I don't think we saw that in the Renegades series. So I feel like they have the most upside going into the next day if they can get to it.
The G2, the team to watch going into day 2, as you say, if they get there. Of course, we should keep that in mind. We're now loading into map number 2. Apologies for the little delay there. We're going to try and get there as quickly as we possibly can. You expecting anything different as far as legend selection here on Thermal Station, or you think we're going to see something extremely similar, if not identical, to map 1?
I think we're going to see the same exact compositions, mainly because you have to trade, especially with Gardens too, and Gardens and Thermal are very similar to getting over towards the donut or getting towards that high ground building. You need to trade utility with the jump pad, and you need to trade utility with the zip line. You can't just constantly be only zip lining, because that's not fair to your Pathfinder, right? You need to kind of split that and spread that amongst your teammates. So I do think that we're going to have the same compositions. Whether they're played the same way remains to be seen.
Well, we're going to have to see if there's going to be some ArcStar cross-map sticks that we saw earlier in our series where G2 were involved, and unfortunately on the receiving end of one of those ArcStars on the cross towards Dome. And that's another thing we're going to see, Tom, more and more as these games develop. Pre-nades right at the start of rounds, cutting off those routes, I think is something that's certainly not been used enough so far in the infancy of arenas, that I could see an area really developing into metagame.
Definitely. I mean, we remember the old school Halo strategies, right? Chucking grenades on over towards shortcut jump, and, you know, blowing weapons towards yourself in the beginning of games, rockets on Battle Creek. I mean, grenades are so powerful. Only thing that is unfortunate for arenas is you need the money to go, and you need the resources to go and purchase that. But look at that. G7 Scout starting off with 6 with the red dot, and the shots were looking crispy. Euriece actually takes to the high ground, and he's going to be a nuisance up there. That's where a lot of the focus is going for the rest of these players. And now where are the rest of the Alpine members going to rotate towards, as Euriece is taking up so much of the attention?
Euriece is kind of, as you say, the focal point here for Ghost Gaming, who managed to get to this platform first. So outside of Euriece, Alpine not in the greatest of positions. It's going to be down to Euriece to maybe do enough damage to allow his teammates to move up, maybe get that bubble down to cross the open grounds. And now it's going to be Metro hitting some beautiful shots there with the wingman. A little 76 to the back of the skull is going to do that damage. And now you're going to see Ghost Gaming exchanging kills, but it's actually going to be Euriece who comes out better over the top of Pandxrz here, getting the first knock onto Pandxrz. And now it's going to be a 2v3 in favor of Alpine Esports.
And that's what we need to see from Euriece in a map where you're able to make some high ground plays, when you're able to outmaneuver your opponents. It's just so fun to watch the Pathfinder meta, because this is what happens. It's kind of a Pathfinder versus Pathfinder fight that consistently takes place. It was a little bit more popular in King's Canyon back when he was meta, and there was so many different layers of high ground that you could make your way towards. But that's going to be Pandxrz going down first and eliminated, as Euriece is running low on resources, so he can't really do anything. Mainly all he can do is be a nuisance and try to get information. But where are the rest of the players? I mean, everybody is playing so passive on the Alpine side. They need to get to Euriece and give him some meds.
Those shots are going to be doing damage from RKM with that alternator, hitting Flash as well. And it's a case of now, here's the time to push by the looks of things. RKM trying to back up his teammate Hill, who's moving in, exchanging a couple of shots with the Eva 8. Should be able to get this knock and manages to secure it. And now it's a 3v1. And
Nice.
Alpine, the patience pays off for them. Every single piece of the machine coming together there to make the perfect work they were looking for. And Alpine will take the first round here, but it was an elongated one there, Tom, and one that was inch by inch, more than yard by yard.
That was like a 5,000 piece puzzle all coming together in a matter of like 2 to 3 minutes right there, as they were trying to figure out how they were going to do this without any meds. It was like, you go, no, you go. It was like, you know, honestly, that's kind of me and you. If we ever went to a haunted house, I'd be right behind you, buddy.
Oh no, I'll be right behind you. It'll be a constant spinning battle, a little do-si-do. It would not be a good look for either of us. I mean, did you know what, Tom? Sorry. Now you go behind me, mate. I'll go in first. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yes, all right, perfect. As we do see the bounce pad, this is what we were waiting for. These fights are absolutely crazy. What's Euriece going to do? He's going to say, all right, you guys take the jump pad. I'm too good for this. I'm going to go and take the grapple over towards the top-hand side. And, oh, look out for that grenade, Euriece.
You were talking about ghost houses. This thing started to get a little bit spooky there for Euriece, as that nade indicator appeared just in front of him, and they do manage to get the first knock onto RKN here, Ghost Gaming, so they will have the advantage. However, the advantage is one thing. Can they capitalize now to tie this up, Tom?
And you'll notice the same kind of step-by-step methodical play coming out from Ghost Gaming. Get the knock, everybody full heal. I mean, we're talking about 6 even hitting syringes. That's how much respect they have right now. You cannot afford to drop these rounds, mainly because there's only 3 rounds to win. And then not only that, the confidence that a team gets from a 2v3, especially when they haven't pulled off a numbers advantage quite yet, is exactly what you need to kind of build that confidence. And esports is all about building that confidence. Gaming, it helps so much when you're feeling good about your teammates and keeping those vibes high. Now we all are tied up again. And I mean, I wish we had a counter for every time that this series went to a tied score.
I think one thing I can take away from the couple of rounds we've had so far is it's followed the same pattern as we saw on map 1. The team who's got that first knock has managed to convert it into a round win. So keep your eyes on that first knock every single round so far, because that is the tailor tape for both of these teams. And now we're going to see both teams moving towards that dome again. You can see the zone, you can see the dome is in the center of it, and you can see the zip line coming out almost immediately from the Pathfinders. They're going to be meeting on top here, Tom. We are colliding head to head.
I love that, and I love the grenade that was kind of waiting over there. And this is what's so fun about not having Bloodhound, okay? Honestly, like a Bloodhound scan would just ruin everything for everybody in these instances. So just to watch everybody kind of debate each other and posture around the map waiting for their opportunity is just so fun, because they could just strike at any time.
Well, KN's going to be controlling the top of the dome building at the moment. You can see that all of Ghost Gaming are inside. And Alpine are currently patrolling outside. Hill is kind of just poking through the windows, saying hello, making sure that the curtains aren't as closed as they should be. As Ghost Gaming maybe now thinking about making a little move outside. Euriece with the little zipline jump as well, just to see if he can catch any angles and see if he can catch anyone off guard. But it looks like it might be Metro thinking about an Arcstar stick. Walking around that corner, get a stick. Massive advantage for them. Oh, and he got it!
Yes!
He managed to get the stick! RKN goes down. Big play with the Arcstar, and that will be, once again, the opening that they needed. I love it when you call things, Tom. It makes you feel really smart, really special.
Yeah, I called that one, you know? No, I'm just kidding. That was awesome play right there. I mean, the prediction around the corner, not only that, it's on to a player that, you know, is going to potentially run into other teammates, which you love to see, getting that collateral damage. Very well played. I mean, just the play to give up the top of the bubble, or give up the top of the dome and the donut, and to go inside and force your way as a 3-person squad over towards the door for a crazy door fight like that is such an interesting strategy, but it's the right one. You don't want to make things random and just be doing a ring around the rosy in that type of instance. Try to outsmart your opponents, wait for your mistakes to be made for them, and then once you see that, punish it. And that was the opportunity they waited for, a player to get over there, and they stuck him right into the door.
Alpine Esports on the back foot now. Already 1 down in the series. And Hill taking a lot of damage once more. 6 on the Gibraltar with the gun shield up, looking to hit a few more shots onto Hill, and Hill will be taken down. Advantage strongly in the favor now of Ghost. What a flank that is. And now Euriece left with all sorts of questions, all sorts of problems to answer, but he manages to get 1. Euriece managed to get 2, but it wasn't enough. But my God, Euriece almost made that work.
Okay, I think Euriece has the best EVA 8 that we've seen today. Let's be honest. The guy is connecting, and when you watch him shoot the EVA 8, that's how you do it. You basically have to predict where the players are going, and you have to keep that reticle nice and calm. You cannot continue to kind of flick it around. You have to keep it really, really steady because of the rate of fire. And if you're able to connect on that, you could see just exactly how fast you could drop players. 3 shots is all it takes with the EVA 8, and that thing shoots extremely quick. So like you were saying, Onset, once he's still up on that map, he makes a huge difference. Unfortunately, I really didn't see much from RKN and Hill in terms of the support. I would love to see more bubble fights and more aggression around Euriece. And if Euriece is taking these off angles, he's going to need a little bit more support.
We're going to have to see if they can up that aggression like you're asking for, Tom, as they're currently 2 down in the series. And it's time for us to jump to a quick break before we get back for game number 3, which could well be the decider. Euriece nearly clutching up in that final moment, but it wasn't enough. Ghost Gaming looking incredibly strong.
Welcome back, everybody, to the UMG Champions Apex Legends Arena $10,000 Invitational. And we have a great series, we really do, between Ghost and Alpine. But Ghost obviously taking a 2-0 lead now. They win Overflow 5-3, Thermal Station 3-1. A pretty one-sided map, I would have to say. I mean, the performance, or really that stick from the Arcstar from Metro was incredible. And the fact that you guys called that was absolutely beautiful. It's funny, he doesn't finish with the most eliminations, but he finishes with just about the most DPS, and that Arcstar clearly helped in that moment with the splash damage. And well done, Onset.
Thank you. It's one of those rare moments that I'm going to take a moment to actually bask in. See, there's one thing about Apex Legends. I know what I want to do. My problem is I can't execute it as well as some of these players, but sure. This was almost one of the craziest plays we've seen. 2 players in the bubble. Euriece manages to take down 2, and then almost manages to get around that corner to pop a battery as well. That would have been absolutely insane, but I mean, it wasn't insane enough. Almost, you know, they don't get the job done here, and as you can see, now it's 2-0 to Ghost Gaming.
I mean, you know, Tom, Euriece is just disgusting. Like, I know you guys were highlighting him, and now I'm a believer. I really am, because his Pathfinder play is incredible. The moves that he makes is very well done. But I feel like all we're doing is talking about Euriece, right? He's the one making the big plays. Unfortunately, it's just simply not enough, Tom. For the boys of Alpine, I feel like they have a lot of potential. They're a phenomenal team, but it seems as if Ghost has them outclassed. Why is that?
Well, Euriece is taking a lot of aggressive angles and a lot of off angles, and sometimes that could make you feel like you're kind of playing off of what he's doing, but that's the life of a Pathfinder right there. He's going and taking the high ground. He's trying to create opportunities, and then that means that you have to buddy system with your teammate. So Arcane and Hill need to figure out what they're going to do to play off of Euriece, and a lot of times it didn't seem like they were able to kind of break through what Ghost Gaming's defensive barrier was. They were aware of Euriece. They were understanding how big of a threat he was. They played around that and made it really hard for RKN and Hill to kind of advance. And unless you're going to advance with a bubble, or unless you're going to advance with really big damage, you're not going to be able to get into Ghost Gaming's area. And that's what was happening. It was kind of like Ghost Gaming was a boxer that had bigger height, bigger reach, and they were just kind of jabbing away and keeping Alpine away. And then once they had their opportunity, then they would get in close.
And, you know, Onset, obviously Ghost is doing a phenomenal job. I love the fact that the Pathfinder on their side, Pandxrz, is a pretty selfless player, and that was represented in the map #1 in Overflow. I love that one grapple attempt to just get the damage. He knew he wasn't going for the elimination, but he at least was able to safely bring it down to a 1v2 once his teammates were able to get the cleanup on the initial damage he did. He's a phenomenal player. Love what I'm seeing. All around, Ghost seems solid, but hey, we still have more maps to go, so Onset T-Squared, take it away.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much. And it's time to get into our game at 3. And now we're heading over to Phase Runner here, Tom. A little bit more distance for the teams to work with as far as those early engagements. And this is the one where we saw Fun FPS taking over with the longbow a little bit earlier on. You're expecting to see a little bit of range here, and already we might be seeing a little bit of range. As I saw a scout popping out of the bottom right-hand side of the corner of my eye. I couldn't get the sentence out, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yep, I spy with my little eye. It's 6 with the scout, but also the value of the pills is so crucial in this first round because of the fact that you just really don't have that much healing. So if you're able to get over there and get those extra batteries, the Phoenix kit and the med kit, you're going to be really good for when you have to posture for these type of skirmishes. And it looks like, based on what we're seeing, the trades come out on the Ghost Gaming side. It looks like they could have been the team that ends up picking that up. You have the drop popping off in the middle. Euriece is kind of waiting around towards the side to see exactly how they're going to approach this. But keep in mind what we were talking about, how Euriece has always been that entry fragger here, and how Arcane and Hill kind of need to play around that. So I would love to see, again, the buddy system from them while Euriece goes and kind of takes these different unorthodox angles to try to make plays and opportunities for his team.
The difficulty here for Alpine as well is the fact that having not got those meds, they're kind of stuck, because you can see the zone and the time that has passed has not allowed them to rotate to the other meds at the other side of Phase Runner here to basically equal out the equilibrium of meds across both of the teams. So now you can see they haven't got really anything to work with, and now that the damage is being done here for Ghost Gaming, they could push up any advantage they have now. Every shot is an advantage, Tom. They could and should, to be honest, close this one out pretty comfortably.
This is what they do. They keep Alpine at a distance, and then they continually keep full shields, and then they just start deteriorating the meds on the opposite side, and then when the opportunity strikes, that's when they start to move in. So I love these plays from the side of Ghost Gaming. Now they're starting to run a little low on heals, but keep in mind, they're the team that got that pill. So All you have to do is back off, hit one of these batteries right now if you're Sixer Pandxrz, and you're going to be A-okay. But this is where the fight is going to take place now. Both teams recognize the situation. As soon as someone gets some flesh damage, it is on.
There is flesh damage, and there's the first knock as well, and it's going to come in from Hill with the Mozambique as well. And now Six, he's going to be in trouble, and Alpine have somehow managed to turn this one in their favor here. What a performance in the first round of our map number 3 from Alpine. Tom, to me, it seemed like there was pretty much slim to no chance of them taking that one home, but big shots. And to be honest, the risk taken by Hill to go out there and put that damage down is what changed the tide in their favor.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see some aggression answered with aggression on the side of Alpine. Euriece is taking aggressive angles. While that's happening and he's creating opportunities and being a diversion, that's, again, the time to strike. You have to take that opportunity when you get it, and they finally did. But not only that, I think that was the first major mistake that we've seen from Ghost Gaming. I'm not quite sure who it was. I think it was maybe running to one of his teammates to get some heals, or was trying to get close and relocate, but unfortunately crossed through some open area and ate so much damage along the way that resulted in getting knocked. But there's the little swoop of the pill, and while that's happening, a bubble is going to be forced out, so they understand the situation. One of these players is actually completely out of position. It's going to be Six, I believe, as the enemy bubble is going to be placed. Where are the rest of the teammates, though? Are all 3 of them in the same area? Actually, Ghost Gaming relocates and gets together, but Metro takes a ton of damage. He's going to have to battle.
Six and Pandxrz trying to do what they can just to hold ground while this battery is going to be popped as well. He manages to get that done and back up to full HP. However, getting deeped by that wingman across map, and Alpine really starting to heat up a little bit here. And that flank has just been spotted out here by Metro as well. So vital that he turned away at that moment to make sure that he could do damage onto this Gibraltar. And now Ghost Gaming, having spotted that flank, might be able to create an opportunity to isolate this player here from Alpine.
And when you're running away, if you're RKN, look at the angles that Ghost Gaming needs to take. That's an opportunity to go and just cover your teammate there. And they're going to have to run out into the open. So that's exactly what Euriece and Hill are doing. They're saying, okay, RKN, I get you. You're trying to create some opportunities. It doesn't have to be just Euriece. It could be somebody else. And I love that. Just go through and see what you can get away with. Fall back to your teammates and force the other players to try to find exactly where you are. Now Ghost Gaming trying to figure out what the heck happened to this Gibraltar. How is he so fast?
Well, Metro, he's going to get pinged again by a wingman, and now he's got pretty much no meds to work with. And he's going to be living a life without armor for now, whereas as you can see for Alpine Esports, everybody full HP and feeling pretty good. Alpine going to be controlling this side of that rocky mound as well. And the longer that they actually allow Ghost Gaming to stay alive here, you can see Metro's kind of in a situation where he's just trying to do whatever damage he can and not be the first to get picked. But the longer they leave it, Ghost are going to have a pretty good advantage with head glitches as Alpine are forced towards them. But Alpine also in a good position as far as that zone is concerned, and that's going to force Six now to move up.
You know what they need? They need my Watson generator on set. No one thought about that. One of those Watson generators would just change everything. Actually, we're gonna have some trades of knocks. RKN gonna get one onto Six. Pandxrz gonna get one onto Euriece. Now we're on a 2-on-2 situation.
Metro managed to hit 2 shots there to turn what was a situation where he was facing against someone who had shields and he didn't, into one where neither player has shields. And now Alpine down to just one. It's going to be Hill on his own, manages to get some shots off with that wingman and really make this a tight game. Pandxrz is going to go for that res. He's going to get it off, and now, unfortunately for Hill, he's going to have to hit shot after shot after shot. He manages to get one, though, and Pandxrz will have to move in alongside the teammate to get the job done. But that was a little bit tighter, I think, than Ghost Gaming would have wanted. But take away and back up a few seconds to how that second round was looking just a few moments ago. And Ghost Gaming, you have to say, from the back foot, ended up turning that one around, Tom.
Crispy wingman shots there from Pandxrz. I mean, it's kind of difficult to remember, but Pandxrz is actually one of our main slayers that we have in the ALGS. Typically a Bloodhound main. He was someone that was kind of at the top of our leaderboard consistently in terms of overall kills, and is very close to winning MVPs for the actual major ALGS tournaments, the online tournaments, and the super regionals that were taking place. So he definitely has what it takes to come in. Typically as a Bloodhound, you're coming in and being one of those last players alive. And I've been really impressed with Pandxrz in his individual play. Oh my, Metro, are you kidding me? The R301 spray just looking phenomenal. Unfortunately, he didn't buy any grenades. It's so useful just buying 1 or 2 arc stars in these situations.
I love it when you call out one player and then another one says, hey, give me my POV. I'm going to be beaming right now. That's exactly what happened. The 301 absolutely frying across map there. The Ghost Gaming now moving down to the ground, which we saw them play a few moments ago. And it's going to be up to Alpine to make that move back onto them. But it's a great point that you do highlight here. These are all players and all teams who have had players up at the top echelons of those slaying categories. And quite rightly so, with the talent that we're seeing them play with at the moment. What a head glitch this is, though, for Hill. As he's trying to peek, trying to sneak, and trying to ding a few players with that wingman in his hands.
The G7 Scout coming in. Scout Mozambique for Pandxrz. When you make a purchase like that, it's typically strategy based and it's based on the zones. So they thought that they were going to go and rotate towards those outskirts. But Metro looking good with the R301 says, you know what? I'll raise you. Screw your Scout. I'm coming through with the automatic weapons. You could see the shadow from one of his teammates actually flying through as well as the Spitfire is going to be answered. RKN, first one to get knocked. Unfortunate situation here for Alpine. They need this round desperately. Shotgun in hand for 6. And that's going to be all she wrote for Alpine. I mean, Ghost Gaming, it looks really promising for them in the way that they're able to, just position together. I love their, I guess it would be like a triangle defense that they're setting up, right? And it's so difficult to infiltrate that. They have every single angle covered whenever you want to try to flank.
Yeah, I think their baiting and switching has been superb as well. We saw a perfect example of it there in that first battle between 2 of the players on Alpine and Ghost Gaming. It was a Ghost Gaming player, I can't remember exactly who it was, but just playing a little bit of an off angle, getting damage, getting the attention of the player, then managing to stay alive with barely taking any damage himself, allowing a teammate to move in and clean that up. And bait and switch, and it's the staple, Tom, of not only BRs, it's the staple of arenas, and it certainly is a staple of arena that we are watching right now in Apex Legends, because you can see how valuable it is. If you can manage to exchange damage and get the advantage to get into a position to get that first kill, you are in a great position to succeed. And now we're seeing Alpine change things up a little bit here, moving towards the more broken phase runner, or the more less constructed, I should say, of the 2. And now holding down this side of the map, trying to change things up a little bit.
They have to change it up. I mean, they're on the verge of getting eliminated. So what's the play right here? Oh my goodness. All of those shots connecting. Look at the amount of damage that Hill has taken. 3 wingman shots. Back to back to back throughout all of that. That's going to be Pandxrz getting out of dodge. Still needs to hit a south throughout all that. Just took a little sliver of damage as Metro is going to elect to hit a battery. They have plenty of heals though. Plenty of economy in that back pocket. So they're going to be A-okay. Only 1 grenade really purchased for each player that I've seen. Nobody going hardcore. There's Euriece actually picking up 2. I really feel like 2 to 3 grenades is the play, because that first grenade always gets dodged, and that's when you throw that second one where you think that they have to run to, and it makes things so difficult to deal with. 6 opening things up with a 63 grenade right there with that frag.
Right on time. The grenade hits and does the damage. Still a 3v3 though, but although RKN is going to be taken down to very, very low health himself. You can see around 60 HP for him to work with. Manages to get the battery off, and we'll have to see if he's going to be able to get the health meds off as well. 6 is going to be popping a battery inside of this bubble, and it's a little bit of a touchy-feely around this one. And finally, the players are going to be engaging, and it looks like Alpine are going to come out worst as Metro manages to pick up the first kill in the feed with a 301. However, that's going to be traded out. Panda's now down, as Metro will try and move into a position here to hold off the push onto his teammate. Does pretty well, and now it's a straight 2v2.
We actually haven't seen this before, where it goes from 1 player being down to an actual 2v2. Every single time we've had 1 player down, it's been just absolute bloodbath for the team with numbers. But Pandxrz, after that knock, ends up taking what he thought was a 1 versus 1, and it was actually a 2 versus 1 over towards the side. But Metro is going to find RKN, and now it's up to Euriece. And this is what we've seen from Alpine. Everything looks really great, but once 1 player goes down, it's like they kind of split up, and that's not what you can do. I mean, look at the shots from Euriece. Everything was looking clean, but Ghost Gaming is going to take that one. Unfortunate for Alpine. They just really couldn't break that defense that Ghost had.
I think it's a great point. I think you really did struggle to break through the line, as you say, from Ghost Gaming. Did a really good job of exchanging damage and most importantly not getting knocked in those team fights. Tom, I think you summed it up absolutely perfectly, and now it's 2-0 to them and they're looking down the barrel of a victory.
Yeah, it's what, isn't it 3-0? It's 3-0, right? It was a 3-0. It's over with.
I believe that was a
2-0.
3-0, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
of
it was
course. I had a nap in map 2 this time. I had a nap. It wasn't Tom. It was my fault.
It was fast,
You
though.
had me so scared, man. I was like, what have I been writing for the past hour? But no, it is a 3-0. Ghost does take this series with a clean sweep over Alpine. But you know what? You said it best. You know, you guys just broke it down defensively. Alpine just wasn't ready for it. Ghost collectively as a unit, I'm very impressed. In fact, dare I say, one of the best performances team-wise, at least for me personally. Metro had incredible moments. Sick obviously was doing his thing. Pandxrz was a wonderful pathfinder, you know, getting those great angles, being selfless in certain moments, specifically on overflow. But I think collectively, the team just worked very well. Alpine, though, had one serious player, and I say serious not as disrespect, but one player that you had to focus on, that was Euriece. But everybody else kind of was just you know, kind of the side actors, if you will. And I felt they should have supported Euriece a little bit more. But the problem is you can't win a team-based game off of one player alone. The entire team has to be at full force. And I think Ghost just was that team overall. But Onset, seriously, though, what's going on with Ghost? Because they look really good here. Obviously, we didn't get to see their series before. I believe they're 1-1 in their pool overall.
I think they're 2-0.
But is Ghost really as strong of a team as we just seen them, you know, kind of play against Alpine?
Oh, 100%. In my opinion, we've just seen it in front of our very eyes. It was very, you know, you can't look at that performance that we've just seen and really pick out any areas of weakness for them. Everybody was hitting shots as they needed to. Everybody was communicating extremely well. And the baiting and switching that I was seeing between all three players was absolutely phenomenal. No one caught out position. Everyone within, you know, arm's reach of each other or bubble shield reach of each other if there was some damage done near a Gibraltar. It was a unit. It wasn't 3 individual players. It was a team playing together there, and it was really impressive to see.
And Tom, there was a specific moment in round 2. I was on the edge of my seat. Ghost takes TP to get pill control. The drops over there as well. They're set up very, very nicely for the actual zone itself. But Alpine comes through and is able to knock them back and then force Ghost to kind of retreat away, shield up, and then ultimately force their way back in through rocks. But talk to me about that round 2, if you remember, because I know everything is a blur at some point, especially whenever you're casting. But round 2 specifically with Alpine pushing them back, Ghost, it kind of showed a lot of resilience. And I think resiliency was the big thing. They were able to adapt and overcome consistently throughout the series.
I thought you were going to say everything's a blur when you're a boomer. Thank God you didn't say that. But
I'm 29, okay? So I'm getting up there, too. I can't really even roast you like that.
But, you know, one of the things that I want to say is that it's not random that Ghost Gaming is good at what they're doing. They're really good at skirmishing. Keep in mind that they were ESA Black. They were Team Intel. And Six is a former tournament winner with Bowser and with Nicewig. And just reiterating again, the way that he's able to take these fights, they are so good at taking constructive criticism together that this is what they specialize. They specialize in skirmishes. ESA Black was actually leading in the ALGS championships the whole entire first half. I mean, the first like 3 or 4 games, it looked like they were going to win this thing before Pandxrz really started to step it up, before Cloud9 really started to step it up. ESA Black, Ghost Gaming almost won that thing. They were looking really, really good. So this is a team with, you know, again, a very high ceiling, and they're still trying to figure that out as they go. But that's just Six and his in-game leadership and all of the players working together.